I can recall laying in an operating room on a cold white table. My mother was there along with the doctor and a nurse. I remember the doctor saying that I was dead. I was above everything, watching it all. My mother said that she was glad that I was dead. I confronted her with this about 30+ years later, and she turned absolutely white. I then went into a warm tunnel that was very bright, like the aurora borealis, and welcoming with a person sitting on a chair. It was so peaceful and so wonderful. I didn't hurt anymore, and I could run and breathe, and I loved it. I was told by this soul that I had to go back to Earth to teach others. I didn't want to go back. I wanted to stay. I read my obituary later that week. My death had been expected because I was so ill with asthma and had been for many years. I wonder if the little scar above my left breast has anything to do with the procedure the doctors did to bringing me back to life.
Around 3:00 p.m., close to Poitiers, France, about 1 week before my 9th birthday. I'm walking from the commercial center towards home, as my mother accepted to let me go alone for the first time. I'm in a hurry to arrive, as I am excited to meet the children of my mother's companion, that I never saw before. So that while crossing the street, I don't see coming upon me the big truck, in fact is only a car. The car hits me head on. I am told that I did a triple backward somersault. I find myself on the road several yards away, unconscious. Then, I see my body, laying in the ambulance, covered by an orange-colored blanket. My vision, looking down from the ceiling of the ambulance, I remember very clearly this out-of-body experience. I even have a detailed picture, like a photo. Then coma 3. Cranial trauma and left thigh bone broken. Arrived at hospital about a quarter of an hour later in coma 2, then coma 1 and staying in it, for 11 days, very long 11 days for my relatives, especially for my mother who was there and more involved. At my awakening I'm talking about a vision of myself, of my body in the ambulance covered by the orange blanket. Then I described myself as flying fast through a sequence of sceneries that seemed unlimited, peripheral vision. I'm observing the journey. I am the journey. Firstly, there are black fields, a landscape of desolation. That I have been drawing later in therapy, filled with corpses, limbs and heads. Then crossing sandy deserts, before arriving at a vast meadow covered with white flowers. Then a green hill, brightly colored, a path and a big door style, which is diffusing a very pure light, warm and mesmerizing, that has something sincere, something like a soul. This gigantic door is sitting way up at the hilltop, and I see myself going on this path towards it. I'm observing this little Jameen, but I am also this Jameen. I'm at the same time inside and outside, and the same applies to the hill and the scenery, and I have the impression to be in complete fusion with this environment, in an absolute well-being. This light, at which I am a part of, or that resembles me, comprises me, which pulls me irresistibly. I'm also talking about a choice that I had been doing. This world was much more real than many moments in my earthly life. It is as if this day was engraved in me and changed me profoundly. I have the feeling to have known something at that moment. These are the facts of what I experienced and what I remember.
It was about 10 a.m. Saturday morning, the 15th of February 2003. I was in my kitchen waiting for a kettle to boil for a cup of tea before I went out. I had a stiff neck and then severe chest pain. The pains increased across my chest and down my left arm. I was hot and sweating and unable to talk. I live alone, so there was no one for me to call out to. I slumped to the floor as the pain increased. Sweating and gasping for breath, I became weaker. I reached a point that the pain was so bad that I said to myself that I don't know what is happening, but whatever it is killing me. I could feel myself dying. I knew it was unmistakable. The feeling of my life ebbing away was very clear. Whilst lying on the floor there seemed to be a separation. I could distinctly feel the life force, energy or whatever it is leaching out of me. I was aware of the difference between me and the life energy leaving me. It is difficult to describe in words, but there was a time when I seemed to occupy two different places. I could feel the pain in my body, but I was also away from the pain, as if floating beside me. I then felt frightened. I could tell I was dying or dead, not really sure which would be right. But I knew that I did not want to be dead then. So I remember saying to myself, if I don't stand up now, I will never stand up. So I went back to my body and made me stand up. I remember feeling a rush of life back into my body. It was like a sharp gust of wind filling my body, and then I was back inside me and I could feel the pain again. The physical reality was a sharp contrast to the sublime formless energy of being outside my body. The very real and distinct separation of my consciousness and my body is something I will never forget.